Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's live stream. It has been a very big week, a massive week. We had a huge update. And then, of course, we had the Lunar New Year event launch, which is really fun with the little snakes, which I leaked last week. And I think Cyber Implant was the first one to guess what those snakes were for. I mean, obviously, people were like, oh, it's a pet. But she did like this whole breakdown tweet of like, I think it's Lunar New Year because it's Lyra the snake. And then she talked all about it. It was really cool. Go check out her post. Anyways, I digress. Let's get started. So if you have any questions or comments or feedback, whatever it may be, throw them in the YouTube live chat or the Twitter live chat, not the comments, the live chat. Let's keep it farmer friendly. We got a lot to cover today. So let's bring up Luke.
Hey, everybody. Excited to be here. Yeah, we finally got this update out, and this is a big page forward for Pixels. I've been waiting to get this out for so long, right? And we've been kind of like building it up. So yeah, basically what we just released was the chapter 2.5 update, basically how chapter 2 was supposed to look from the very beginning. It was a lot of work to fix it. Basically, we had to go and rewrite all of chapter 2 when it came to game balance. But it's nice because we can finally move forward and start to work on some new stuff now. In this saying that we'll go over all of your comments and feedback on chapter 2.5. We'll answer some questions. We'll give you guys some insights into how we're thinking about things and maybe some adjustments, some like future updates that we'll be working on. And we'll also go into what's next for Pixels and some of the stuff we want to be working on in Q1 and the rest of 2025 too. So yeah, overall, it seems like reception on the update was pretty good. It's a big change to the way that you guys are playing those. So we knew it was going to ruffle some feathers that way, right? Because basically the entire way that you're playing Pixels now is very different than it was 2 or 3 days ago, right? So we know it has to settle and kind of take some time to adjust. And especially when industry limits start to kick in, the gameplay will shift a little bit more even after that. But yeah, let's maybe go over, before we dive into the details and get into some questions, the high level objectives of what we were trying to achieve with chapter 2.5. So chapter 2.5, why we needed to do it was because the game economy was not in a very healthy spot. And this was leading to a lot of other secondary effects. Basically, what was happening was tier 3 and tier 4 resources didn't feel like they were worth getting. The resources were inflating very highly. And a healthy game economy, or an unhealthy game economy, leads to like a really bad feel of the game in general, right? Like it doesn't feel like the work that you're doing makes sense. The balance wasn't really right. And everything just like wasn't in a good spot because of that. Now the game economy is going to be the much healthier spot, and that gives us more room to play with, some more like fun features that we can add around that. And also it means we can start working on new features and also focus on some of the things that we need to still too, like the new user experience, the first time user experience, and getting more users inside of the game, right? You can't grow an unhealthy game economy because it's only going to exacerbate the problems. But now that we've fixed a lot of the issues here, and there's still some like, waiting period that we'll have to see on how everything's going. But now we've fixed some of the core issues, we can kind of finally start to grow the game, focus on like new user experience, and just move things forward, get some fun features out like merchant ships, and even start working on chapter 3.
Okay, pause. There have been way too many comments saying that either you and I got into a fight and I punched you, or that I should punch you. Like,
No.
what is going on?
I do have a little bit of a black eye if people notice that.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
even
maybe
notice
that's why they're
that.
saying that. Yeah, it's subtle, but these people, they're good detectives.
Okay,
Um,
I'm in a different continent.
yeah. No, I'm very active. I was riding a bike and I fell on the bike. Basically, not a good story.
I didn't even notice.
They
Good.
noticed.
Anyways, moving on. All right. No, I didn't beat up. Guys, I'm on a different continent. Okay. Also, I could not beat up Luke. Let's be for real here. When we were in Thailand, he was just doing push-ups, like handstands, and then doing push-ups.
Yeah, you gotta stay healthy when you're in the trenches in Web3. But yeah, here, so I want to spend a lot of the first part of this AMA going over some comments, questions. We can kind of let you guys pick apart our brains. This is supposed to be an AMA, right? So sometimes we like just spend the whole AMA talking to you guys. Well, let's answer some questions and open stuff up. And I bet it'll lead to some interesting rabbit holes.
Okay. Well, here's an easy one. How many snakes are available? So in the envelopes, there are 25 available. And then I think there's a few extras being minted to our marketing wallet. We have like a few extra pets minted to a marketing wallet every time we make them. So I don't know, maybe we'll do a giveaway at some point. I have some in the wallet. We have some snakes. We have some, I think we have every type except like, oh, okay, that's not true. We don't have every type. We don't have like the Halloween ones or geckos or anything like that. Okay. There's a few pets in a wall. Anyways, 25 through the envelopes.
Okay, I'm going through some questions right now. So I'm literally looking at questions right now. Ask them. We'll star them. We'll bring some of them up. Do it now because I'm literally going through them right now.
Okay. I've been talking to Mnemonic Punk a lot in Discord also. So happy with the mechanics of the update. The timers are great, but the limits seem way too tight at the moment. So what are our plans there? So I would say our plan for a little bit is just going to actually wait to see how this balances out. It's been like 24 hours, right? So people are still learning, and our player base also is a mixture of people that have been playing for 3 years and people that joined the Ronin boom, and then people that joined after TGE, after Chapter 2. So it's like there's so many different people that are kind of like, a lot of people, we were saying it's going back to Chapter 1 vibes, but I think you guys have learned now that this isn't Chapter 1. This is still Chapter 2.5. So it is totally different. So we're going to take some time to like really see how it balances out and feels. Obviously, if there are changes that we're like, absolutely, we need to get in, we will. We have a crazy amount of work on our plate over the next week. I just got off a call with the team going through like task by task. There's a lot coming still and being worked on. Yeah, we're going to see how it balances out. We do hear you. I know you and I specifically talked a lot about like the cooking stations being more limited, and a lot of feedback around like the new player experience, which maybe Luke can speak to because we're actually completely redoing the new player experience. But yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, maybe we can talk about that. So one of the common things I've heard a lot is the game just got a lot more difficult for new players. Why I think we're hearing that is two things. One, we changed the leveling and XP curves. This is something that we were telling you guys beforehand that was going to happen, right? It happened, and some of you guys are still shocked, right? So basically, it's a little bit different how we're going to consider leveling right now. If you guys have noticed, it's going to be a lot harder to get to like level 80, 90. The reason why is because one, it was too easy. And I know I say this, and some of you are going to be like, no, it's so hard to get to level 80, 90. Yes, it is. But the intention was never really to have people get through the leveling curves as fast as they were. If you were to like look at game balance spreadsheets, you would see that they were just pretty wrong in the first version of Chapter 2. So now everybody's stuck kind of on the same playing field. It's going to take longer to get through the leveling curves. That doesn't mean that we're not going to add other ways to earn XP in the future. right? And there might be different metas that pop up. This is a really common MMO thing, right? Where, as you start to go up the leveling curve, there might be other ways to earn XP. So, the gap between levels might be a little bit longer, but these are all things we're going to play around with. What I'll say is if you're at a high level now, that's a pretty good thing, because honestly, your high levels are maybe even worth more than what they were before, because it's harder to get up to them now. So congrats if you got to the high levels. Now, if you're worried about the high level aspect because of task board earnings, what I will say is don't worry about that as much moving forward. So we're working on a few new features. Smart task board is actually about to come and roll out. And what we're looking at is a mixture of things moving forward for task board rewards. It won't just be your levels like it was at the beginning of chapter 2, but it'll be like kind of holistic, basically. You're not really going to know why you're getting pixel tasks all the time, because we're going to do some magic on the back end. But yeah, if you're worried that you can't get up to level 80 because previously in chapter 2 you had to kind of get up to level 80 to get the right pixel task, don't worry. If you are at level 80, that's a big advantage. Don't be sad about it. Be happy that you're there. And congrats on grinding up there, because it's a big advantage for being there early in pixels as we start to build out the game for the next few years, right? So yeah, we've heard that the leveling, we hear you on that one, but I would also encourage you to not freak out about it too much yet. The other thing is, imagine if you're a new player coming to Pixels for the first time right now. One, it's a little confusing. We still don't think the actual tutorial experience is very good. Even if you're not hardcore Pixels right now, it's kind of hard to figure out things like finding what land to go to, for example, right? Because now you kind of have to go back to lands a little bit more than you did in chapter 2 at the very beginning, right? This is actually a really key part of chapter 1, where the gameplay around chapter 1 kind of forced you to go to NFT lands, because there were certain industries that were only available on NFT lands. Now in chapter 2.5, it's kind of the same meta again, except this time it's a little bit different than chapter 1, where you actually have to go to very different lands because the land that you go to might be full. A lot of people are seeing this with the cooking right now. You're trying to find the right tier 3, tier 4 cooking, and you don't have any spots. So there's other UX enhancements that we need to work on as well, like making lands easier to find, especially empty ones, working on the guild system to make sure that that's a little bit easier for new players to join and understand, maybe making it a little bit more accessible to new players and free-to-play players, and basically figuring out that whole experience there. So for Q1 for Pixels in 2025, we're going to focus on a couple of different things. One, we're focused on new features like merchant ships and things that make the game better, right? Two, we're working on making sure that game economy, all of that is still in a healthy spot, making adjustments, adding in the quality of life improvements that you guys have been asking for. Some of those tiny tasks like adding salt back and better windmill utility, all this kind of stuff. And then we're also working on the new user experience. It's probably actually maybe the #1 priority, because the game is in a better spot now. We have to kind of make it back. We have to kind of figure out again how to get more players into the game. It doesn't make sense to grow a game that's not in a healthy spot, but now that we're in a healthy spot, we need to start to do that. And there's 2 things that we need to focus on to get new players into the game. We need to make sure that when they come into the game, they understand how to play, that they have a fun time quickly, and that they stay inside of the game, right? So all of that is going to be entailed in the onboarding experience, but then also we're really going to be focused on the first 30 days of a new player's experience. How do they learn where to go? How do they get involved into the right guild? Or if they don't want to join a guild, how do they still learn how to play through the game and stay engaged? There's a bunch of different features that we'll be working on for this. The first kind of thing with that is redoing the onboarding experience. The second kind of thing I think is still involving reward targeting too. Should we only give Pixel to the high levels that are level 80, 90? Or should we also start to think about giving some Pixel to people earlier on so they stay inside of the game and become really dedicated players too? Because you guys are also super valuable, right? We talk about smart rewards and smart task board and play to earn a lot. I was actually just on a podcast earlier today. And in Play to Earn, there are a bunch of different people that are very valuable to the game. I talk about spenders a lot when I talk about, who's important inside of the game, but that's actually not the only kind of person that's important. I love talking about revenue. I like talking about all those metrics, return on reward spend, but there's also intangibles in play to earn that are super important. Without a free to play and a larger player base, there's actually not a reason for some of the like larger users or like power users to spend as much. So to you guys who are playing to earn and are here in the ecosystem just to kind of be like players and want to bring your friends, all of that stuff, like I still think you guys should get rewarded. And I think we should actually also figure out how to get you guys rewards too. Now, the issue is whenever you start to give rewards to people earlier inside of their user journey, it's also valuable. What's cool now is we have better tells and smarter ways to give out rewards than before with the smart task board, where we can be a little bit better at giving out rewards to real players who are earlier inside of the game and not bots. So you're going to start to see some of that roll out soon too. The other stuff, yeah, we need to make some of the menus better. We need to make sure that like things make sense. Some of it will be through tutorials, some of it through all the other stuff. And then, some of the stuff that we'll be working on too is also like social integration and things like creator loops also. So, we talked about creator codes and a couple AMAs, things like that are coming. Ideally this release or the next release. And then, we're also working on like some other integrations in Q1 too, probably like an actual X or Twitter API integration where you can start to do some more like social incentives. So, maybe to get coins, you have to post a tweet once a week or something like that, right? There's some cool stuff that we can do there.
Okay. This is so like opinionated. I personally love the purple and green ones. I think they look great. It's so funny because I feel like they're very polarizing. Like half the people love them and half the people are like, oh, I want different. You guys, I don't think they're gonna change back, but I like it. Not a problem for me.
Here, I'm starting some more questions.
Are there already winners of snake pets? Okay, I was on a call like 3 hours ago and there had been one. So we can look into it. Okay, also, yes, I have a Hello Kitty Band-Aid on. I saw a bunch of comments around that. I cut myself, okay? We're both injured. Mine from opening a food box. Luke from biking. Okay, what happens after the grace period? Okay, so after the 1 week grace period, if your land, so let's say you have 150% usage of producer industries on your land. After the 1 week grace period, all of your producer industries will no longer function. So you'll have to, like if it was at 150%, I have to get it under that 100% line and then they'll function again. So yeah, you have 1 week to, like, I know for me, I have a lot of work to do and I'm actually very glad we have 1 week to go through all my lands and also your houses, right? And inspect. Yeah.
A new AMA where Luke lies about the task board. Cool thing about this update, and we're going to dial this up more, is a higher percentage of users started seeing pixel in their task board than before the update. And that's going to be one of the metrics that I'm looking at moving forward too. So I think one of the issues with chapter 2 and how it became was actually what you'll see is a very small percentage of users started earning pixel. We kind of funneled it all to like only the high levels, and you high levels are important. Don't worry, you're still going to earn your pixel. But yeah, we actually stopped giving out a lot of pixel to people midway through the game or early in the game. You had to really, really level up to get there. Now that we have some better data science backing, we can start to experiment with like basically giving the different segments too. So Smart Task Board is going to come out in a couple of different rollouts. The first is coming out pretty soon. And I was almost hesitant to even share that we're going to roll it out because I know people are going to be like, this task board is so dumb when it's out because I'm not earning pixel. But there's going to be a couple of key metrics that we're going to be looking at. 1% of players earning pixel is important to us. We want to increase that percent because we think it's going to help like make the game experience feel better for more people, right? Earning a pixel is really cool. Even if it's not as much, like earning 1 pixel is better than earning none, right? And yeah, some people say task board is good now. Yeah, it depends.
Around task board today, so
yeah, it's the task board's always going to be very opinionated, right? So one thing that we're probably going to do is we're probably going to change the task board a lot moving forward, or we're going to add like a different type of task board next to the one that we have now. I really like the idea of a task board that has more things to do in it besides just turn in items, like a task board that says go play Pixel Dungeons today, a task board that says like do this live ops quest, invite a friend, turn this in, like do some other stuff, be on the leaderboard. So that will hopefully be iteration of like task board V2 or V3, whatever you want to call it. And then the other thing that we'll start to do is like right now the task board works with like a lot of game logic behind it. We're going to move it to more of like a data-driven task board, which will be cool. That way we can even target the rewards a little bit tighter. So that'll be exciting.
So, I mean, the whole point of this AMA is really to just like talk about it. So you'll get a pretty solid idea. But from what I've seen, it's been really positive. I think most players understand that this is like a long-term game balance update, and it feels good. So like for me personally, when I'm playing the game, I kind of feel like a sense of relief, like I can breathe again, if that makes sense. It's like, okay, I've planted my cabbage and now I can go take care of some other tasks that I have instead of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to harvest this right now. Like it feels like calmer. We're kind of going back to that cozy, comfy, casual game again, which is really nice. Obviously there's tweaks and changes to be made, but yeah, the response has been overly positive, and thank you all for your feedback, regardless of. Okay, I will say if we're talking about violence, I did get a death threat, which we don't appreciate those. But besides that, pretty good.
I don't think I've gotten any on this. I get them a lot too. Yeah, that's not cool. Also, some people like to give death threats to my family too. Not cool. But yeah, that's also why if you guys could have behaved better, maybe you'd have seen more team members on the AMAs. But that's also why me and Heidi are the only ones on the AMAs.
Anyways, it has been very positive over. I mean, it's only been like 24 hours too, so let's see how this plays out.
Yeah, and also no, okay, so this was economy shock in this update, right? Like everything changed, and not just economy shock, but like player shock too. So there does need some time to like have these changes settle. Like I think how you guys will play the game in about a week will be different than you did today, right? If you look at Pixel's tips, like you're starting to see the effect of scarcity come into the game economy now, and all of the in-game item prices are rising, because it actually means now that the resources you gather are worth something, right? And the game that you're gonna have to play is a little bit different than just going to marketplace, buying stuff, and then going to task board. Some people don't like that. Some people are a little upset at us that they have to play the game a little bit more now, if they want to get these tasks. But also, this actually might just change the way that you play the game. In our ideal situation, that is what happens as players settle into this new meta. And obviously we'll follow along and make sure that what happens, and we'll adjust to whatever. But the ideal situation is basically, rather than you like going and buying stuff at the marketplace every single day, like you might have some of the stuff handy because you're like, okay, I know I get a lot of this kind of tasks. I'm going to save up some of this stuff. You'll farm some of the stuff yourself, actually do the work. And then when it's on your task board, then you can go and turn it in, right? So that's going to be the ideal situation. But yeah, we have to see how it plays too. And we'll see how you guys end up settling. But just note, one day of the change, you're not really going to see how the game settles. This is a game with a live economy, right? It's different than if we were just to release a Farmville where it's kind of just you. Somebody said it seems like more Pixel Dungeon time for us. I love the CD time and XP work. Yeah, I do want to shout out Pixel Dungeons team. They're doing great. And yeah, if
Yeah,
you haven't played it yet, go check it out.
they just launched missions,
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. So it's like a mission is it's almost like a quest kind of thing. So like you go, and I think the one example I just read was like kill 4 people, kill 4 users, which is kind of fun, you know? So some challenges in there.
yeah, and that's the cool thing is we start to expand the ecosystem. You know, maybe Core Pixels, you're getting mad at it and you want to go play some other stuff. We're trying to give you guys a few different types of experiences to enjoy, where one, like the work that you did in Pixels transfers to all of them, which is cool, right? Or at least like a piece of it. Like in Pixel Dungeons, your reputation goes over and you might get some perks for that in the long run. You know, they might pull on reputation a little bit more soon, it looks like, maybe for reward gating or for some other stuff. We'll also probably start giving you reputation for work that you did in Pixel Dungeons, which will be cool when we do that. And then same thing, I'm trying to pull up the pet app that we have. The pet app is making pretty good progress. Or maybe I can just pull up a screenshot that we shared the other day. I leaked this yesterday.
Yeah, it's exciting. So Leaky Luke, he leaked a hot pink image a few weeks ago, and I was slightly horrified. I was like, no, because that's not what it's actually going to look like. Our artists haven't like dove into it, whatever the word is yet. So
Yeah. I mean, this is on my device. It's gonna look like we're gonna switch that UX, but yeah, no, it's working. It's
and what animal is this? I want you guys to guess. I want to know if you know what kind of animal this is. I'm testing people. Because to me it's obvious, but I'm also like obsessed with like Mudang and you know animals in general. Okay, good. Okay, capybara, you guys are getting it. You're getting capybara. Okay, we're good. Because I feel like capybaras are like once again that like internet niche cute animal. I just want to make sure other people know, like anyways. We're good.
yeah. So
here's okay, also capybaras. Okay, they're not. They're different. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
here's the rough plan for this app. So basically how it's going to work is we're going to get a version of the app out first. We're kind of probably going to go free to play Web 2 for version 1. There might be some rewards for downloading, playing, doing all that kind of stuff, but maybe not much beyond that. And then there'll be a new type of pet, not a current one that works in the game. What we'll do in the next stage basically is do your current pet integrations into the game. Then we can start to do some fun reward stuff with that after. We want to get this out because it's cool and we can get some testing and feedback. This will be mobile first. We're going to release on Android first. And I think we're on track for March release date. It's looking good, but yeah, that would be the ideal target time, like mid to late March, if not like early April. But ideally, we can get this out in Q1 because it'll be sick. And yeah, if you don't know what this is, basically, you know, we're not doing anything too novel when it comes to the game design. We're taking a lot of inspiration from some of the recent pet apps out on the App Store, like Sush and Pengu. It'll work pretty similar, but have some Web3 twist instead, and some integration with the Pixel ecosystem, also Pixel login, all of that kind of stuff.
It's so cute. I'm so excited. Artists absolutely killed it. Okay.
Here's a good, interesting piece of feedback. Making it harder to gather resources for crafting is good for the economy. Problem is having to hop among 30 lands to be able to spend your daily energy is not casual friendly. We need the middle ground.
Oh, I completely disagree with you. Okay. Sorry, Luke. So this is when I kept saying like some of the chapter 1 vibes are coming back. This is one of them. So back then you would have to go to different lands to gather resources and participate in whatever gameplay. And it made it very social. And you would kind of go back to the same lands and you would see the same people and you would make friends. And it was a lot more relaxed. Whereas like how the design was before this update was you'd be on one land, And it honestly gave me anxiety because like, okay, if I want to cut down trees, by the time I'm finished tree 100, tree 1 has grown again and I don't have enough energy, and it's just like stressful, and you just like go through your energy in 5 minutes. It's just not really fun. It doesn't feel good, right? So actually being forced to like go to new places, discover new things, and like talk to new people, it feels a lot better. Luke, do you have another take on this?
My take is I want to redo the like the way that you get to lands. I
Yeah.
hate having to walk into the plot and then going to the portal and typing in the number. And bookmarks is like an okay system, but I think we should really rethink that system. That's the biggest pain point to me. Either not enough bookmarks, or like I hate having to type in a number into a machine. I hate that UX. It should be way easier to find a land and way easier to get to one. And it should be like 1 or 2 clicks, not like 30 seconds to get to each one.
Yeah. 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 Okay. But it was all multi-use then, Heidi. Yeah. Yeah, that is true.
Not trees.
However, sorry.
Trees were not multi-use.
From the end of chapter 1, it was like that. Yeah, that's true. But there were also only like 4 or 5 industries per land, period. Right. So we're not in chapter 1, but there are definitely like there's an essence of chapter 1. That's what I'm saying.
I have many friends who play this game, but now they have stopped playing. People keep saying this after people are saying this 2 hours after the release. All my friends stopped playing when the release was 2 hours old. I don't believe that sometimes. I do think we stopped a lot of bots with this update, and like broke a lot of bots, which whenever that happens, whenever we break bots, they always come into Discord and Twitter because they have Discord, Twitter accounts most of the time, and they leave a lot of comments from their stuff. Like I'll get the same in our support tickets. It's kind of crazy because you would think they're better at this. They leave the same exact message in support from like maybe 20 different accounts, sometimes like 50 different accounts. I get the same exact DM in Twitter from like 30 different accounts without any changes to it. It's like, at least change the message each time. But yeah, not saying that you're a bot, but like give it some time too. Because again, this update does change a lot of stuff. But earnings stay the same. And actually we've been able to get more earnings to more people, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
Why haven't you made bookmarks purchasable yet? You even said it would be easy to implement, and players are telling you how they want to spend their pixel. I agree. We should prioritize that.
I actually talked about this on an internal call today. It's like, make it happen.
Yeah, we need it now more than ever.
Luke the bot killer. Yeah.
When public mix panel for Pixel Dungeons, they have a public meta, or it's like semi-public meta base. It's their stats, so I don't want to force them to share it, but you can actually go on Dune and look at all the Pixel Dungeon stats too. There is a public Dune dashboard. Let me see if I can find it. It has everything on there. I retweeted it the other day. I'll have to find it and share it later. If somebody can go through my like Twitter feed and find the Pixel Dungeons retweets, somebody made it. It was just UGC made on Dune. But what's cool about Pixel Dungeons is everything's on chain, so you don't need to even go through a mix panel. You can go and like get a good Dune dashboard to see it. It's growing pretty well. They crossed 10,000 daily active users already. I think they're going to hit 50,000 by March. Or at least like mid to end of March. Yeah, and then the other thing that we're going to start to do with them too is we'll probably start to increase some of their reward allowance also. So they had a pretty limited budget when they first came on. They're performing pretty well, and it's pretty good use of ecosystem tokens. So we'll probably start to help them distribute even more rewards through Pixel Dungeons to help them grow their player base and to like help them build and make even more fun stuff. They're doing great. Love that team.
Yeah, this user is just saying that they joined when people were nice and now they're not as much. And I assume you're really talking about Discord. Our Discord culture sentiment has definitely shifted a little bit, and we've been very, very lenient on the moderation side, because that's kind of the approach that, you know, we and I believe in, is really treating people like human beings instead of just being like, enough. But I think we are going to actually we're just going to moderate a little bit more than we have over the past maybe 6 months. So and when I say that, I think a lot of people kind of get confused with what we're asking for. And that is, we want your feedback. I am not saying give less feedback. Like, please continue, just word it nicely.
Yeah, so Pixels is, I am pro free speech if it's nice.
Yeah.
You
So
have to be.
feedback is negative. That's okay. Give us the negative feedback. Just
Yeah.
be polite.
Here's a
Right?
community member who I think is a great example of being able to give negative feedback in a nice way, like Cyber Implant, Nature Bean, those creators. You know, they are able to express their frustrations about Pixels sometimes when things aren't going perfectly, but they always do it in like a nice, respectful, and wholesome way. And that's the important part to us, right? So it's funny because early in the Pixel days, if you guys remember, there's a lot of new people here that weren't here in the very beginning stages. We were one of the only Discords in Web3 that didn't allow swearing, and I felt like one of the things that it was the best thing that we did. We kind of like trained some Web3 degens on how to be polite online. I felt like, and I think we need to kind of go back into that. It's like, you know, you're allowed to say what you want as long as like you're creating still a good environment, because the feedback is really helpful to us, but the negativity is not helpful to anybody. You know, we don't want to listen to like really rude comments because it doesn't come off to us like you care about making it better, just like you're being mean basically. So even just like, if you actually want me to take it seriously, when I'm like looking at comments and stuff like that, that's a good way to speak to us also. And also when you think about the community too, if you're coming into a Discord for the first time and you see like some toxicity, it's not a fun place to be. And if we're all trying to grow this ecosystem together, we kind of have to work together to do that too, right?
Yeah, that's like the number one point I always push, is like, you can be mean to me, fine, whatever, I'm used to it. But it doesn't really make it fun for everyone else. And that's the point. We just want everyone to feel comfortable. So anyways, back to the original point, we are going to be a little bit stricter on our moderation. Just simply like, hey, be more positive, or, you know, we're going to have to have a little slap on the wrist. Anyways, all right, let's get back into it. When Kiko recipe, I was literally, I'm telling you guys, this call earlier today, I was like, this and this, and this is one of them. I was like, when Kiko's recipe, we have a new guy on our team, and he was like, oh, Heidi seems to really want this recipe. So like, he had no idea where it was even from. And I was like, no, like, it's been too long that you don't even know where this is from. Anyways, Kiko's pancakes, Popper pancakes, are in the works.
Somebody was asking about the Infiniportables. Yeah, I don't feel like people use the Infiniportables enough. I mean, I use them because I just spend all the pixel that I have on that and VIP passes to give out, but they are very nice.
What's the response from landowners so far? Great. They're very happy overall. Lots of good feedback in there. I don't know what to make of this. The public lands trash talk PDPR live again. Thanks, Luke. This is what we need to socialize and accept. I don't understand. Are you going to a land and trash talking people? And like, what about? Like,
it's more of a personal thing, I think. I mean, no, there are some people like that. But what I'll say is there are really wholesome sub communities inside of Pixels. Like Pixel Chibis, I think is one of the
Pixel
most
Cat Guy.
welcome.
What an
Yeah,
incredible human being and community builder.
yeah. So what was cool about chapter 1, and hopefully what some of the meta comes back, is now you have this game that has these constraints and limits, right? Like you're going to have to rethink how you play a little bit. And what was cool in chapter 1 was all the coordination with different groups of people, right? So there were some like guilds, which we didn't even have guilds in the game at the time, but they like called themselves guilds. That's why we built guild features that kind of like had really interesting systems of cooperation and coordination. And yeah, I would encourage you guys to like, maybe start to look back into guilds. I will say guilds, there's something that's not quite working with it. I think what we probably need to do is make them a little bit more accessible to the free-to-play user base too, where there's maybe some misaligned incentive between guild and landowner that we need to figure out too, because what we're not seeing as much as we would want is basically for the guild land connection to happen. Some of you guys do it, and some of you are gating your land access to guilds. But we would probably want bigger adoption in the long run for the system to fully work. So we have to kind of work out and figure out what's going to work there. If you guys have any suggestions on how we kind of make lands and guilds work together, or if you guys, I know some of you don't like guilds too. Yeah, maybe there's something else that we can figure out that basically makes it so that you can kind of participate in some of that coordination or participate like some of the social without having to be so social. Like I can understand why you guys might not want to go into like a Discord and be like, hi, let me into your guild. Maybe it needs to be a little bit more in game and not as social fully also.
This I found really funny. Bro put a chat in the dungeon. Sometimes I need to tell something to other players. I'm concerned about this feature. I don't think it's being built, but we've talked about it. I'm concerned. Also, though, like you only have 2 minutes and you've got to be careful. Like, do you really want to step away from, you got to get to the chat box, type, like I would be too scared.
Yeah, I thought about this too. I was like, because we used to have proximity voice chat in game, like before we moved into Web3 and proximity video too. I was like, wait, this would be amazing for Pixel Dungeons. And then I just thought, if these people are talking trash in Guild Wars, imagine Pixel Dungeons. I think it could be toxic. But I wanted it too. I mean, even just to say hi to people. But yeah, I can see why you wouldn't want that also. Maybe just play Pixel Dungeons and go in like a Discord chat with your friends and talk trash to them, not other people. Please let landowners use their stuff on their land in parallel with other users so we don't have to close them in a week. I would say this is like the one piece that I'm thinking about a lot too, and I think the design team is as well. A not great situation would be every single landowner in game closing all their lands, and there's no lands for any free to play user, right? Now, realistically, that probably won't happen because what landowner has time to like go and fully farm their whole land the entire time? But yeah, we do need to make sure that system works and the incentives are aligned. So, chapter 2.5 is out, right? Does not mean that things won't update and things won't change. Now, I can see why users here might be a little nervous on our speed of iteration, but what we're really going to try to do is we're trying to do an update every single week. We already have some stuff lined up for the update next week, which should be good. And we have some stuff that probably should go out in the update after that too. So 2 weeks, we're probably gonna be good. Update, at least like 2 weeks in a row. I'm pushing internally really hard. Like I think we need to get that weekly update cadence back. And yeah, these are the kinds of things we'll be watching closely. So for the next, 3 months of Pixels, we're going to be working on new features. It's finally, we have to get some new features out, right? But we also, we're going to have to adjust some stuff too. So like internally as we're planning, we're like setting aside some capacity to make sure that we have time to like change the current mechanics, make them feel right, like think about all of this kind of stuff. And then, we're also getting some new stuff too. Merchant ships will probably be the next big new feature, which will be fun.
Yeah, imagine writing and being killed by a bomb. Like, it would be brutal. So I don't know. I don't know. I feel like a live chat would make more sense, like voice chat, but also infinitely more toxic. So maybe not. I don't know.
I don't fully agree with this whole comment, but yeah, I'll just bring it up and talk about staking a little bit. So pixel staking is the only way to save pixel price. People always sell, even though they only have a very small amount, which is why it will not go up. What I'll say is on this one, I think you'd be surprised that like I don't think the sell pressure from like small holders is really what is changing like market around Pixel is what I'll say. That impact is actually not super high, and net emissions from Pixel is actually like much lower than comparables, especially comparables at similar market caps. So that's probably not the reason for any of that stuff. But what I will say is I do think having Pixel staking is actually pretty important for the ecosystem now. If you've been following Pixels, I've never been a fan of how many projects have been doing staking for a long time. I don't like the idea of staking for guaranteed APR or anything like that. It's just kind of, to me, utility debt when you do that kind of staking. Like what you're saying is I have found no other way to monetize. So instead of even trying, I'm just going to give out like some of the token emissions for, you just parking your token. And then also that's like inherently long-term inflationary too. Because if you don't hold the token or if you don't stake the token, you're essentially diluting yourself. Now there's like a similar effect with play to earn too, where holding the token doesn't have as much of a point right now inside the Pixel ecosystem, and that's something we'll try to solve with staking. But we're going to do something a little bit different than the model that you've seen currently in Web3, and I'm really excited about it. We'll hopefully get an announcement around that soon. It'll come with like a whole white paper rewrite and probably an announcement of how it works too. The ETA for staking or our ideal launch of it would be mid-March at the latest. So we're putting the final touches on implementation. We have to kind of clear it with legal, make sure that everything we're doing there is good and clear. And we're already kind of moving on building it now. The increased duration on industries is enough to fix a scarcity and economy problem. Adding industry limits is overkill. So a couple things here, and this is like an answer to kind of like let you guys know the way that we're thinking about things and some of the plans here. So I will say we wanted to be aggressive with some of this economy balancing, and we did lean more towards scarcity so that we can ease up if we need to. But there are a couple of features that we're planning on that should help some of this stuff. A good example is a feature that we're working on called speedups. So some stuff that we'll let you do soon is we'll kind of let you cut down the crafting time or cooldown time for certain things that you get inside of the game. And probably the mechanism that will distribute some of the speedups is through features like merchant ships, or we might sell them for pixel or like have them in gachas, things like this. Just give them out in live ops events. But yeah, expect features like that should make some of this feel better. The boost statues too, now you're seeing are going to be a lot more important than they were before, right? Like these boost statues and sculptures are like actually like very, very meta now. And those of you who had gotten them and collected them, you should feel pretty good and happy about that. So we're going to start building out and like enhancing some of that stuff even more too. And then there's other ways that we can go about this too. This is not confirmed, but just like to let you guys think about what we're thinking about. There might be other systems that we can layer on top of this too. Like imagine if you were staking Pixel, and we let you increase your build limit a little bit because of that. Or if you had like tools that were also making the like cooldowns less long, right? Like what if you could have like a special pickaxe when you mine the cooldowns shorter, right? So there's a bunch of stuff like that.
Bike UGC when? Okay, so I will say that we have a pretty big backlog of UGC to review from the holidays. UGC takes a lot longer to kind of review than you would expect. But I will say that we are actually currently working on a new process for it, which will hopefully speed things up. So I'm not going to say that it's going to be immediate and we're going to be really, really quick tomorrow, but we are kind of reworking some of our processes to hopefully speed it up a little bit. And yeah, we have a massive, I think there's like 300 submissions or something like that to go through. And each submission generally takes like between maybe 2 and 5 minutes to go through. It's a lengthy process. So hang tight, but also I hear you. There's been some delays there because of the holidays.
Oh, this is a good rabbit hole to go down into also. New players should have a place to sell their stuff until a certain level so they can upgrade their spec. One thing I don't like about the game right now is the reputation system. And I think we need to rethink that kind of heavily. So right now, it is a little too hard to get access to some of the best features inside of Pixels because of reputation. It's very hard to get the reputation that you need in order to use the marketplace, in order to trade with other players. And that's actually some of the most fun stuff inside of the game. That's when you get like real access to Pixels economy. That's when like the gameplay starts to get a lot more interesting. So yeah, I don't want it to take players 3 months to be able to get there. That's not good because they might not make it there, right? If you're a new player, it's a lot of dedication to get to that. So we need to rethink how our reputation system works. We need to figure out how to get good real players more reputation quicker. And that's going to be some of the stuff that we're working on this quarter also.
Does the Lunar New Year event give reputation? So everything gives reputation. All quests, live ops events, all of this stuff, participating in the game, playing the game gives reputation. So just by default, yeah, it will.
Yeah, also somebody made a comment on UGC. Yeah, so UGC, there's a lot more room for it now. Some of your lands, some of your specs look very barren, and they're going to look even worse with these industry limits on. So you should get some UGC. I think we're going to maybe be able to accelerate some of the acceptance coming up too, which is cool. We're getting some more help there. But yeah, let's see a UGC resurgence. Oh, this is a good thing too. Soils need adjustments. Soils need to be released when crop is completed, when crops are mature, like all other industries. Yeah, that is one piece of feedback that we've gotten a lot. Like the dead crops or even harvest or like crops that are ready to harvest stay on the land too long and block other people from farming. Yeah, what I'll say is the team is like aware, and that's like kind of high up on the priority list to figure that one out. Bro, I'm a new player and I got a large land. Can you tell me how much I need to go from level 1 to 60? Chat GPT says 140 days, 24/7. When you guys are doing the math like that, what you're not doing is you're not counting that you can do more than one thing at a time. So remember, you can multitask. So if you were only able to plant one crop at once when you're doing some of that math, it would take 140 days, but you can plant 64 crops at once, 140 crops at once, then it's not going to take 140 days, 24/7. So yeah, but we hear you guys. The XP is different, but also you don't need to get up as high as you did before. Just remember that. All right. Any other questions that you see?
Oh, we're already at like the 1 hour mark. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, I think we've covered most of it here. How many snake left? There's tons. There's tons. Like, okay, I was on a call 3 hours ago and there was only one that had been claimed at that point. So hold on, let me ping.
Yeah, so how it works also, right? And we are allowed to say that there's X amount a day, right?
Well, there's 25 over the whole event. So available in the envelopes. So you can say that'll be roughly 5 per day, but it might be
Yeah,
like
this is a
3,
different,
4,
yeah,
5.
yeah, it's like it's roughly that per day. This is a different way of distribution than like the normal odds. So what I can confidently say is they're not all going to run out in one day. They'll be more evenly distributed over all 5 days. So yeah, it works a little bit differently than some of the other stuff that we've done. So even if you participate in the last day, you still have a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. The gotcha that we did in the past was like immediate, right? This one is we've redone the tech. So it's going to distribute kind of like evenly over the whole event. So yeah, keep planting your cabbages. Like one of our designers said that to me on a call, but he like stuttered while he said it. It was really funny. Cabbage. I feel like I'm like say that quickly like 10 times. Cabbage. Who came up with that? I know exactly who came up with that on our team, actually. Anyways, okay, I've just asked to see if there's any pets, but I don't think they're going to reply to me quick enough. But anyways, 3 hours ago, there was only one claimed. So you guys go plant your cabbages, and make some dumplings. Will we be time zoned out of these pets? No, this is exactly what we're saying. So we've redone the tech. It's all new tech for this event. So they will be distributed evenly across the event. So like I said, the event started 14 hours ago, I think. 13, I don't know. I got up at 6 a.m. today, guys, to launch this event. So whatever that was. And then yeah, I mean, like 8 hours in, there was only one that had been released. So you're good. Keep making those dumplings. Okay. All right. Well, I think we can call it there. This has been an awesome AMA. Thank you all for all your questions and feedback. We're listening. I'm ecstatic that you guys are enjoying the update as much as we hoped you would. You know, this is definitely a massive change, long-term goal. Someone just told me to go eat something. I just ate a lot of chicken, actually, so I'm Gucci, but thank you. And I think that we're, you know, anyways, do you have any final words, Luke? I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, now that this update's out, speed of iteration should increase again. That's going to be the commitment that we're trying to make to you here. We're trying to get weekly updates out. And yeah, the team kind of understands that. I'm really glad we got this update out yesterday, right? Like, we could have maybe spent a little bit more time getting things completely perfect. But it was better just to get it out. And there is still some things that we need to adjust and change, right? Like we're listening to all your feedback and making sure that we're like getting the game into like the best spot it can possibly be. But also, I think the team is starting to realize too, internally, that it's just better to get some stuff out and then get your feedback and then just like get back into the F it, ship it mindset a little bit. So yeah, appreciate all of you for being patient with like some of the hiccups. Like there was that crop that took 1,080 energy that's getting fixed. Like
People love to tweet that though. I think I saw like 5 separate tweets and like a dozen Discord messages. Like, guys, actually, okay, hold on. There was one user that was like, your QA team, your QA team is terrible. How did this get through? And I was like, look, this is a big update. If this is the issue that comes from, like, I'm good with that. You know, like, we'll fix that really quickly. Anyways, thank you all so much. We'll stop blabbing. This has been a great AMA, and yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
All right, thanks everyone.